What's up guys, welcome back to PRN Test Drive. The Lexus RX has always been about pairing luxury and reliability, and it's proven to be a recipe for success because over the years, Lexus has sold a ton of them. In fact, it's so desirable that it makes headlines for being a highly stolen vehicle. Today we have the 2025 Lexus RX 500h Blackline Special Edition. This is the most loaded RX you can get, and Lexus said that this is also a limited production run. Let's take a look around, go for a drive, and see what this RX is all about. As with most other Lexus products, there is a plethora of different configurations for this RX. From non-hybrid to hybrid to plug-in hybrid to this high-performance hybrid, along with a number of different trims. The base RX starts at about 63,000 Canadian dollars. The 500h starts at about 84,000 Canadian dollars, and this one, as tested, is 93 grand. So what do you get for your money? Well, you get the most powerful RX ever made. Under the hood, this uses Lexus's Direct 4 hybrid system, which pairs a 2.4-liter twin-scroll turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors to produce a combined 367 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. It has all-wheel drive system, but power to the front wheels go through a 6-speed automatic transmission, and power to the rear wheels go through an electric motor. There isn't a physical connection between the front axle and the rear axle like most other Lexus and Toyota hybrids. Starting with the exterior, this generation of the RX has this sort of beluga whale inspired front end, which at certain angles look a little weird, but overall silhouette is pretty nice and I quite like it. This trim features the upgraded triple beam Lexus headlights along with fog lights and cornering lamps down below. For the Blackline Special Edition, it exclusively comes with this incognito paint job and a set of blacked out aero kit. Side note, you cannot in fact get this Blackline Special Edition in black. Over to the side, the RX feature a floating roof design, which I've actually never been a huge fan of how they do them, especially this section over here, but that's just my opinion. There's keyless entry on all 4 doors, and the door handles are actually electronic, so there's a button inside, and when you press it, the door pops open just a little bit like that. The RX 500h comes standard with 21-inch rims and 235 wide tires all around, along with 6-piston brake calipers in the front. This Blackline Special Edition also gets the 6-piston brake calipers, but they're painted in orange, and it also gets a different set of wheel design. As for suspension, McPherson strut in the front and a multi-link setup in the rear, plus a set of adaptive dampers. To top it all off, this also gets E-axle rear differential and up to 4 degrees of rear wheel steer. Around back, a really good looking rear end in my opinion. I also really like the taillight light bar here. I think it looks very sleek. The rear wiper is also hidden underneath the spoiler, which again keeps the whole look very clean. Opening up the trunk, you get a little over 800 liters of trunk space when you have the rear seats folded up, and over 1,300 liters when you have them folded down. The RX 500h also gets standard power folding rear seats, so with just a press of a button here, you can fold the seats down and also up. The inside of this RX 500h is definitely pristine. Black leather interior with suede materials as complement to the overall design. It's got a huge panoramic sunroof. The seats are heated, ventilated, and also powered. Oh, this is a very nice place to be in. I can recline my seats as I like, just like that. And I particularly like the suede material designs on the door panel here. I think it's a very, very nice touch. In terms of space, for reference, I'm 5'9". You can see that I have plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom. The one thing I've noticed, however, is that over on the side here, there isn't window sun shades. The reason I say that is because the 450h Plus plug-in hybrid model has it, but this doesn't. Alright, the front row. You get a heated steering wheel, a digital rear view mirror, and the seats, they're heated, ventilated, powered, and also have memory function for the driver. But something to note is that these seats feel very bolstered and they're pretty rigid. So even with just a jacket on, I feel pretty snug and tight in here. So if you're a larger person, you really would want to go to a dealership and feel it out and make sure they're comfortable for you before purchasing this RX 500H. Practicality wise, it is excellent in here. The center console opens from both sides. There is a ton of storage here, including a wireless charger. The glove box is a decent size, and the door bins are also fairly large, which is great. But my favorite part is the height adjustable cup holders. If you have a small cup of coffee, you can push this button and bring it all up. But if you have a big bottle of water, this is not big, but just for reference, you can push it down so that it doesn't fall out. It's great. I love this design. It's awesome. In terms of tech, head-up display, fully digital instrument cluster, and a 14-inch infotainment screen come standard on all 500H. The head-up display shows plenty of information, the instrument cluster has plenty of customization, and the infotainment screen is generally snappy, and it has support for wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Most of the climate functions are controlled using touch buttons, which isn't great, but you can use the voice control for simple commands. The Blackline Special Edition also comes with a 21-speaker Mark Levinson sound system along with illuminated door sills, so it looks great at night and it sounds really awesome as well. The one gripe I have with this interior are these touchpad steering wheel buttons. They're not labeled, so instead you have to swipe on them and then it shows up on the cluster and the head-up display, and then you can select what you want to select. The rationale is that using one set of buttons, you can have multiple sets of functions and you can customize them, which is great, but in reality, it just creates a delay because you always have to first touch, then glance at whatever you're hovering on, and then select what you need to. Sometimes when I want to skip songs, I end up pressing the buttons a few times before actually skipping one song, and to control the adaptive cruise, I have to make sure I'm on the correct page before pressing anything. I just don't think it's a great system overall. I'd much rather have more single function buttons like the volume up, volume down. I just want to have more of those instead of the touch pads. If any of you guys have tried this system out, what do you think about it? Let me know if you like it or not. Foot to the floor in sport mode, tons of pumped-in engine sounds, but yeah, this RX 500H is pretty quick. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in the 5-second range, under 6 seconds, but more importantly, because it's got the more powerful electric motors, the city driving overtaking capability is incredible. Pretty instant to me. The steering feel is also quite surprisingly good. However, if you're expecting this 500H, RX 500H, to be sporty, you might be a little bit disappointed. The dampers do firm up in sport mode, but the spring rates are still relatively soft, so when you're taking corners, there is quite a bit of body roll. The Direct 4 hybrid system is quite smart and performs pretty well, but ultimately because there's no physical connection between the front wheels and the rear wheels for the all-wheel drive, and the rear wheels are just powered by the 100 or so horsepower electric motor, at times it will feel like there's some lack of cohesiveness, let's put it that way, when you're driving this vehicle hard. Instead of using an eCVT like other Toyota and Lexus hybrids, this uses a 6-speed automatic transmission paired with 2 electric motors. In terms of smoothness, I think Lexus has done a pretty good job. Shifts are barely noticeable, and the transition between engine power and electric power is pretty seamless. However, the one main thing I've noticed is that the engines seem to be very reluctant to turn off even when the car is up to temperature and even if it's in eco mode. Typically, hybrid vehicles turn off their engine at complete stops, when you're coasting, when you're driving slowly, when you're steadily cruising, or even when you're gently accelerating. But with this RX 500h, I've noticed that it pretty much never puts itself into EV mode unless it's at a complete stop or when the battery is full. If this is the case in sport mode, then yeah, I get it. Of course, you want the engine to be on for instant response, but not in eco mode. By the way, engine off coasting is a feature that's commonly seen in even just mild hybrid system, whereas this RX 500h is a full hybrid vehicle. If I'm buying a Lexus hybrid, even a powerful one like this one, I would expect it to be also efficient when I'm not stepping on it, but that doesn't seem like it's the case here. Which brings me to fuel economy. On the highway, I was able to manage 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not far off from the 8.4 liters that it's rated for, but in the city, it's well into the 12-liter range, which is substantially worse than the 8.7 liters per 100 kilometers that it's rated for. The combined figure is also not great because so far I'm averaging about 11 liters per 100 kilometers combined, and that's mixed use between highway drives and city use. Even putting into account that it's winter, I still think the fuel economy numbers that I've been able to achieve is quite disappointing. As far as safety tech goes, this being the most loaded RX you can get, it has everything. 360 camera, parking assist, emergency braking, evasive steering, blind spot warning, adaptive cruise control, lane tracing, lane change assist, traffic jam assist, parking sensors, you name it, it's got it. I'm also happy to report that most of these systems work great, and I feel confident using them. The parking assist works, but I just don't think it's intuitive enough for me to replace my day-to-day parking job because ultimately parking myself is quicker and more convenient. So, am I sold on this $93,000 fully loaded RX 500h? I'm really not sure. At this price point, I think I'm more gravitated towards the RX 450h Plus. That one is a plug-in hybrid model. Yes, it's slower. Yes, it's less sporty, but it has a more proven powertrain. It's quite a bit more efficient, and you can plug it in for pure electric driving. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this RX 500h. Would you pick this as your next luxury family SUV, or are you cross-shopping this with something else? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.